Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll jump right in because I felt to come here and talk and record myself talking about the hypnotherapy training because it's one thing to write it down and to have a list on the website or in an email about everything that it has to offer, except that there's just so much. And I felt like it could be really beneficial to have a conversation about hypnotherapy and the benefits of hypnotherapy and who could gain from taking hypnotherapy training and who gets helped by it and all of the things that really come out of the training because there's the details, like the practical details of how to hypnotize someone and to know all that, but there's so much more to that. So I am going to be definitely getting into all of that tonight, and also what potential lies after taking a training like this, and give you some examples of even people and their experiences that they've had from taking this training, and also the types of things hypnosis helps with and how it serves to heal trauma and create new mindsets and habits. So yeah, we got lots to talk about. I'm going to just get started, and as I'm going through things, feel free to put a comment into the chat, um, type a comment into the chat, but I'll fully do like a full question and answer at the end too. But if I'm talking about something and you want to check it out, feel free there. So let's get started just to talk a minute about what is hypnotherapy, because I guess it's very helpful to know what is hypnotherapy when we're talking about doing hypnotherapy training. And so basically, I want to really simplify this because I could do a whole talk about what is hypnotherapy. And of course, in the class, I would go in more depth and even in a session with a client. But I think that the main thing that's really important to know is that hypnosis is just a bypass of the critical factor. So it's not going unconscious, it's not losing control, it's not somehow doing things that you wouldn't want to do. And so that is a very important distinction to make. It's a very important distinction to make that professional hypnotherapy is not a gimmick. It's not a joke. It's something that has the potential to heal deep trauma, that has the potential to change patterns that have been going on for a lifetime sometimes. In fact, I just talked to a client today who came in for a session and actually only came in for one session because she'd, for I think over 30 years, because her whole life, and she's older than 30, was afraid of the dark and couldn't be alone with herself, even in her own home. And we did that session, and just today she told me like what a relief it is to not have that anymore and to be able to just want to stay home and not have to find excuses to go out. So it's very important when we're thinking about hypnotherapy to not bank it into some type of area that entertainment hypnosis is in. And that's something that is taking time. It's changing. People are starting to really understand that it's not a party trick when we're really thinking about how valuable it is to heal the mind and to be able to work with our own minds now and the minds of others to get us to healthier states. I think it's becoming very prevalent in our society how important it is to just be taking care of the mind, the levels of anxiety and depression, and that's an area that there isn't as much. Um, it's not the first place that we go when there's a problem, but when it becomes, the place that we start to realize that the thoughts that we think affect our health, the thoughts that we think affect our life, it really starts to be understood that hypnosis is something that changes lives. And so, again, it's not about losing control, it's not having to be able to relax, it's just knowing that with guidance, you can have assistance into getting your mind into a space where when you imagine things, when you look at things differently, when you feel things, when you um, get get into your space, get a deeper get into your own self deeper, so create a deeper relationship with yourself. It's so gentle and it's so loving and it's so life changing. And so basically, the whole idea of going into hypnosis is just a setup of technique. So I would do something like, um, I'll get you to open and close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, that'll be your signal to yourself to go deeper, relax. So you'd, right? And then as we set up different techniques, the subconscious mind is coming more to the surface. So we're able to access the part of the mind that is like 90% of the mind, but has our habits and behaviors and feelings and memories and beliefs and perspectives. And as much as we know that some things that we're thinking aren't true, trying to change it in the 10% of the conscious mind. Sometimes we think of it like an iceberg, like 10% above water, 90% below. And so if we're trying to change things from the 10% above, then that's logical thinking, practical thinking, those types of things. But when all of the stuff that you are based on your entire life experience is under the water. So it's very important to remember this. It's very important to know that you are your mind. What your mind believes, it creates your reality. And as much as it would seem like we could think our way out of something, often we can't because the thinking and the belief patterns are in that deeper part of the subconscious. And so this is all that hypnosis is. It's not that you open the door and then there's all this stuff that you don't know was there. It's just that you gain access to a deeper insight, and then plus the things that you think and want to create start to become a new way that your mind works. So then you just find yourself feeling better. You find yourself doing the things that maybe you've been trying to do for years and thought that you didn't have enough willpower to do. Whereas willpower is in the conscious mind above water, it has no effect on the subconscious. And that's why often we could be left feeling like, I need more willpower. I've got to be able to do this. I should be able to do this. But the thing is, by changing it and shifting it in the subconscious mind where it lies, that's what actually changes it. So, I mean, wow, right? When we really think about that and how by working in our own minds can change our reality, this isn't a joke. It's not as intense as people might think. It's not as like they don't have to be as vulnerable as they think they have to be because all of the information in your own mind you have to access and it's never going to lead you astray and it's just going to give you what you need in order to be happier and healthier. And so this is why, it's been my mission creating the Institute of Hypnotherapy and training and certifying hypnotists and hypnotherapists in Saskatchewan for the last 5 years. And now there's been over 50 students certified, and it's just growing. And there's never a shortage of need for this type of work because people are really waking up to the value of taking care of our mind, but also like the happiness that it allows us because we might spend a lot of money upgrading or updating our homes or making sure our cars are safe to drive, and those things are valuable. But our mind is something that we are in all the time. Our mind is somewhere that no matter what, sleeping, awake, work, home, we are always in. And so that's the main thing to remember. When we start to change the way we think about things, things that we look at are different. When we do that in the subconscious mind, it more readily and quickly accesses what needs to let go, what needs to improve, and then also begins to create a new mental blueprint. I'm going to get more into the mental blueprint as we get talking. And so for now, I'll just move on to the next part of this webinar, which is who could benefit from this training and why. So I made a little list when I was just thinking about it, about how the people that have taken it in the past. I've got some nice sun coming in today. Everyone in Saskatchewan knows how great that is. It's warmer and sunny. And So basically, I came up with a few things. People that are maybe not content with the work that they're doing or even in school, and wanting to pursue a more fulfilling career. Someone who has already a holistic health practice or is a natural health practitioner and that's wanting to take their work to the next level and deepen the level of healing work and increasing your practice financially too, because hypnosis is all about, again, using your mind to create your reality and also being able to do that work at a deeper level that it fits so complementary with any other modality. Because, like, for example, I have some students that are massage therapists, and they can use their hypnosis skills in massage therapy, even to say a few words in the right way, to relax the person's mind as they're getting a massage. And there's a lot of science data out there now about how, about stress related illnesses and about how stress can really wreak havoc on our health. And so somebody could be going for a massage, getting massaged and feeling more relaxed in their muscles while their mind is just continuing to go on and on and on and on, and not having that opportunity to slow that down at the same time. So some of my past students, they've been finding great results with that. I'm making sure the client is willing. I don't think anybody would ever say, nope, I do not want to relax my mind at all. Right? That's only because if there's any fear about hypnosis, it's always only because there's misconceptions about what it actually is. And so they find that they can even massage deeper, that the client can tolerate more and they're more relaxed, so they are getting a faster release in the massage. So that's an example, but this could go with, I've seen it go with everything from massage to reflexology to psychology to counseling to really any kind of holistic practice, body talk. So now, somebody that could benefit from this training too is if you're thinking about doing something rewarding after retirement. So that's definitely, I've had a number of students trained in this way that are right now taking clients and working towards building a practice while they're finishing up their careers or their jobs at their prospective places. And this is just great, because this offers you not only the ability to like help yourself and grow personally, but then also be able to help anybody that you love that is open to that moving forward too. And sometimes it's nice to consider that retiring isn't necessarily about stopping living or stopping growing as much as it is about really just, taking this time for yourself to live your life the way that you want to. And I found too that even clients that have come to me that are retired, that we definitely had to do this type of relaxing the mind, taking that time to help them let go of stuff that from the past that's bothering them, and really being able to help them lay down in bed at night and be able to sleep and wake up and be able to sleep and not be carrying all this stuff around them. So I kind of think of it as retiring the mind and really tapping into the joy of living, which of course you don't have to be retired to do. I just, that's been a really lovely transition that I've been seeing some of my students make. And then also I have here, that you could benefit from this training if you're starting to really realize the value of healing your mind and want to create a more happy and healthy mental blueprint for yourself and like live a better life. Because everybody in this class get gets on a mountain of personal transformation. Like there is no way that you can take this class and not have things change in your life, because it's just designed to do that. Because not only are you learning about the details of how to practice hypnotherapy, you're learning about the mind, and you're learning about how the mind works and how the way you think about things affects your life and your health and your happiness. And then also you get, you're practicing on each other. So you're getting countless time in hypnosis where you get to like have that mental and physical relaxation that's just not like anything else. So I'm sure there's more people that this could be for, but I'm going to leave it at that because there's no limit to who could take this class. I've had all types of people from all types of different areas and ages take this class. It's really more about what you're looking for in your life now. So my next question that I have here is, how could this training benefit you? And so to go through some things that came to mind when I asked this question and thinking about my students. One is that it just opens up awareness and insight for your life and for your career. Teaches you about the mind's impact on the body and the heart. Gives you the tools and the confidence to help others and feel sufficient. Feel really good about the knowledge that you're going to gain in this class. Like you would be able to leave this class and start working with people immediately. Stepping out of your own comfort zone into doing the things that you want to. I mean, maybe that's taking the class, stepping out of your own comfort zone. But I also do mean it in the sense that like once you take the class, it's going to be a lot easier for you to step out of your comfort zone, and you'll find yourself just naturally doing things that before you couldn't do. Because once we release those limitations and those blocking beliefs, things change. It's going to move out of the sun a little bit more. Okay. So also, releasing fear and increasing trust in yourself to know what's best for you. And then it could help you to see how you could create a career, or how you could create something for yourself where you're doing work that you love. Because this is one of the biggest reasons why I started training hypnotherapists, because working in it, working full time in it is that part is that it's just, I started to really realize just how many applications there are for hypnotherapy that there's no way me as one person could possibly do. Because whether we're looking at fears and phobias or dentistry or um, past trauma, childhood trauma, bullying, abuse, post-traumatic stress, any kind of habit addiction, any kind of desire to lose weight, eat healthier, change the way you look at yourself. Plus, so there's like so many areas, never mind like my specialties like relationships and coaching and that kind of stuff. It's just that I started to realize that more people need to be doing this, because there's hundreds and hundreds of applications for hypnosis, from groups to stress to sleep to and on and on. And so there's just no limit. And I'm sure most people could think about people that they love, like people in your lives that are struggling, and that it's, could be very painful to even watch them struggle. And maybe some of you even know people who have gone to doctor after doctor or have tried so many things to not get results, and how just frustrating that can be and how hard that can be to watch someone through that. And so, this really leads into just starting to think about all of the ways that you could see that people need help in all of those areas. And my guess is, like, I bet all of those areas could help with hypnosis. So, this is the deal, This is why I spend time doing this, because I just think that a world with less suffering is a better world. And that's why not only you, but those that you're helping with the tools that you learn in this class will have less suffering. And I do have some notes here from a couple of my students that they sent me, where they're talking about how it's helped them. So for one of them, Patty, she was saying how hypnosis training helped her to understand herself better and how her behaviors and feelings get stuck. And it also helped her with her clients for the same reasons. So, and she says, it answers questions of things like how the secret works, because we definitely do get into the law of attraction and how the mind creates reality, and how things that we can do in our minds to really attract the kind of lives that we want. And it's not as much what people might think it is, because sometimes we could feel like, well, I've been imagining this thing, or I've been doing this and it hasn't happened. But again, if there's that block in the subconscious, then that's a different thing. So, and then from another student, Shirley, she feels like the training benefited her in all aspects of her life, but some highlights are that it strengthened her connections with people already in her life and people who have come into her life since. It gave her a stronger, more confident voice. It reminded her of something that she'd always believed but had kind of forgotten. Words matter. The words that you choose when you speak to people, and especially to yourself, matter. So she really loved the language of hypnosis, which is definitely a part of this training, and honestly something that I feel everybody could benefit from, because it teaches you to speak with passion, purpose, and intention. And it's not like, I feel like, if I was just saying the language of hypnosis, most people would think, uh-oh, don't manipulate me. Like, because hypnosis has kind of gotten this, again, this kind of entertainment, fear-based thing that, like, don't say certain things to me or control me. But when we're really talking about the language of hypnosis, we're talking about how the words that you use matter. It's like, a simple example is, like, I went for a massage once, and I was getting a massage and I felt really relaxed by in this massage. And then the massage therapist said to me, "Oh, you're just so tight. I could keep massaging you all day." And just instantly, I felt myself tense up again, because I didn't think I was tight. I thought I had loosened. And so, excuse me, that's a very simple example. But, like, imagine if she would have said to me, "Wow, you're just so much looser now, and you're going to just keep getting looser after you leave here." Because I was in a relaxed state, so I was in a susceptible state. So anything that she would have said, my mind would have believed. And so this is somewhere that I want to take the training even more in the future, teaching all practitioners the language of hypnosis and how to use that language to really create your life and the people that you work with, because this really falls into my next piece, which is how could this training benefit those that you love? And this is the thing, it directly and indirectly, this affects everybody in your life, because not only does it change the way that you relate, changes the way that you speak to people, it changes the way that you take things that people say to you. So that's just indirect, you know? You'll just naturally start to have better relationships in your entire life because of the shift in your own mind. And again, learning how to have healthier relationships and use language in a way that's more inviting to create change rather than trying to get something to change. And so that's like a really nice way to put it. But then there's also the parts of everybody that's around you, right? So everybody is going to benefit from you being more calm, more relaxed, more at ease, more confident, more, being less triggered by things in your environment. And then directly, wow, just think about the people that you can help. Think about just having this skill to help people feel better, by doing hypnotherapy sessions with them and helping them get to a new level. And by even just like my student Shirley, she was saying that even her mom has been doing self hypnosis. She's not necessarily ready to do a session because we have to let people come to us on our own time, even family members that we might want to really help. We definitely have to just let people come when they're ready. But in the meantime, you're just an example, right? And then also, as they see people around you getting more of the benefit from hypnosis, then they become interested and might want to learn self hypnosis, which you'll learn in the class. Class has definitely got a self hypnosis focus, plus being able to share that with others. Um, and so she really found that difference too. And in our children, I know she had great influence with her daughter and my son as well. Whether it's a countdown or the using that language for sleep time. Their imaginations, right? Children's imaginations are so vivid, and how you can see that shift in the people that you love, that you work with, their confidence, their voice, they're more trusting in their abilities to make their own decisions. And I mean, this is really what our children need a lot of right now. They need a lot less of everybody telling them what to do, and a lot more of being taught how to trust their own instincts about what to do. Um, and I know, like, a lot of my students have helped their families, and one of my students helped her niece with her tendency to worry. I think she was about 9 or 10 years old. And so, you know, like, whether it's like someone you love or someone that you're working with, they're going to have more confidence and leadership skills, like of how they communicate and relate to people, how they take things personally. And again, the triggers, right? Like, some things are just subconscious. Like, if somebody comes to me and they say, I realize, everybody might get kind of nervous before they speak in public, but like, my heart starts shaking, I start sweating, my face gets red. That is a subconscious response, because it's not something that he could do differently if he tried. So that is also important to recognize the difference. Or like, getting on a plane, where it's like, you somebody that's just really got a fear of flying, that other people might say, just fly. all you got to do is just get past it and do it. But that's not true, because when they do try to fly, they're having like a very intense reaction that is out of their control. So that's what I'm talking about when I say trigger. And this is where I'm going to go to my next point. So I've got this point and then one more after this, and then we'll get into questions. So, how does hypnosis serve to heal trauma and create new mindsets and habits that stick? And so, when I'm talking about triggers, and this could be in any area, this could be when you're talking to your mom or someone in your family. This could be when you are talking to someone at work, or you get a phone call, or like the whenever you think about your taxes, but it's like it's a trigger is different than an uncomfortable feeling. A trigger is something that creates an involuntary response. So we could very simply look at this like post traumatic stress disorder. So that's like when somebody experienced a trauma in the past and then something in the present happens, or a sound they might hear, or something that might happen that sets it off in the mind, and then they're reacting as if they're back in the moment of the trauma. Okay. And so one of the ways, there's different techniques that we work with triggers. There's different techniques that you're going to learn in the class. And basically, that's what the training is for, but I'll just go over it a little bit, because working in that way, so removing triggers is a bit of a deeper work. We start to get into that in the class. I go over regression therapy, and that would be where we're really taking someone back in time to the moment that they experienced the trauma, healing it there, and then forward pacing the mind to see how now the feeling is gone. So this is some deeper work, but I do really fill in all of the members of the class with the deeper work too, because some people might feel more ready than others to do that. And then I also offer advanced training in that. So training that you can take with me to learn to do past life regression, childhood regression, and some stuff like that at a deeper level. Because sometimes people think, well, what if you go back there and you bring it up and then it's worse? But the thing is, a true regression, that's not how it works. That's more like other types of psychological therapy, because true regression is actually about only having to do that once. And it's not that you even experience it in the same way because you're in hypnosis. And all that what the hypnosis does is it's like a pad. It's like anything that you were to go back in time and experience, you wouldn't even feel with the intensity that you would feel if you were getting triggered right now. So somebody that had a trigger while flying in their mind when they're there wouldn't even feel it in the way that they feel it while flying. So for example, I had someone come in with a fear of flying that was, I shouldn't even call it a fear, it's just like a really triggered reaction to flying that never had it before. And then something happened that he didn't, like nothing actually happened in terms of flying, and nothing that he did worked. He could always fly before. And so I ended up doing this type of regression therapy with him. And what ended up coming up was that it was actually since his mom died that this happened. And so once we went there and resolved whatever was the stuck feeling from that moment, then it was gone. Like, honestly, gone. He doesn't have any fear of flying. He is, and even just imagine, right, the awareness and the insight that he had based on that. Like, just imagine the awareness and wow, like, right. And so it's very interesting, right? Because like when we start to look at it, that something like that, we can see how consciously would we, like, how would we even know? It's like it wasn't a connection that he made in his mind at all. Okay, so yeah, and then when we really start to look at that and really start to see how this is something that only his subconscious mind knew, you know? And so accessing that has nothing to do with like me having control, just me having the skills to guide him to do the work that he needed to do. Because once he saw that and experienced that and resolved that, whatever he was feeling that was unresolved from the passing of his mom, the external reaction or response to it went away. So that's a deeper example, but sometimes it's a lot simpler and a lot smaller because it could just believe, say, for somebody that's wanting to lose weight, it could just be that they have a belief that they're always going to be fat, or they have a belief that they don't deserve to feel good, or they have all sorts of beliefs that could be around food or exercise or just how much they should deprive themselves. You know, there's so many beliefs that we have in our mind that makes us think that we have to work so hard for things and try so hard. So if the mind believes that it has to work so hard and try so hard for anything, then that's what it's going to take. But if we let go of the belief of that, it doesn't take that anymore. So it's just amazing. And so this could be in so many hundreds of areas. You know, when we're looking at how hypnosis helps with different things, there is a part on my website at hypnoheather.com that talks about the hundreds of ways things. There's like just a big list of things that hypnosis can help with. And there's probably not even everything on that list because honestly, it helps with everything. And then it can definitely help with drug and alcohol addictions. So, because again, okay, so something that we might do to soothe ourselves, right? The human nature is to soothe. The human nature is to try to feel better because that's survival. And there's always a part of our heart that knows that we want to feel better. We can feel better. Things can be better. So we're always going to try to feel better. It's just that in the coping of things and sometimes without the with the old, you know, patterns, because we all have these programs like we learned growing up from the people around us how to cope emotionally, how to deal with things emotionally, how to think about things. And so our world became what we thought it was. And so then when we're looking at addictions of any kind, whether it is drug or alcohol or gambling or sex or eating or being on the phone, you know, being on screens, it's really the same thing because when the mind found something fine, and lots of times we could do a few of these things to avoid how we feel or to try to feel better. And this isn't a bad thing. This is actually human nature. It's how we're designed. We are designed to not want to feel pain. And so when we are going to something to not feel how we feel or to try to feel better, what happens is that it does create a habit. And then that habit is in the subconscious mind. And so that habit is created in the subconscious mind. And so that's why it could seem like even if we leave it and we have the willpower and we're not doing it or trying so hard and it's getting better, and then we go back to it. And then and then there's like ways that the mind also has like patterns of guilt and being hard on ourselves, which also makes it harder to stop. But that being said, so hypnosis can change the pattern of the way that the mind goes to being hard on the self. And it can also work to change the pattern of coping. So here's the thing. This is the type of work that I do because I don't just put somebody into hypnosis and say positive things to them like you're never going to drink again and you're going to feel great and everything's going to be great and you're not even going to like the taste of alcohol because that is just pushing it. And that might work for a very, very short time and then would probably just need constant doing in hypnosis. But when we can get to the root of something like that, like what's the feeling or what's the belief or what's the reason in the mind that we go to that, that we go to the thing we're just calling an addiction, even though it's really just more of the thing that we go to try to feel better. And then the habit is created in the mind. So then it's more involuntary again. So it's like, even though we're using all this willpower, the habit is so strong in the mind. So then it just keeps going back to it. So then it seems like a failure, but really it's not. Because every time that we start to keep shifting back to this isn't what I want, this isn't how I want to feel, I'm capable of feeling how I feel, it starts to create a new mental blueprint. And here's the thing. The happiness blueprint is as easy to create as the unhappiness blueprint. So that means that no matter what, like I know, okay, I know that it can seem that the unsuccessful habits and the thoughts and the blueprint, the patterns, the programs are far easier to fall into, but that's just because we've been in them forever. It's just because they're the most, like if you think of a motorcycle on a track, that just on a dirt track that goes around and around and around and around, that's going to be like a really deep groove. And so it's that one seems more powerful, but it's like, think about how much more attention we pay to something that's not working, right? Like, think about how much attention we pay to going back to that habit instead of like when we do something good again and go, oh, I got back to this habit. Now I'm eating like this, or now I'm thinking like this, or now I'm looking at this like this. So it's a lot about attention, but it's also about properly knowing how to create the new mental blueprint. And this definitely is such a huge part of my work with everyone, and for sure the training. Because when we know how to create successfully the new mental blueprint, it's not like you have to it's not like you have to plan it into your schedule and be like, I've got to work on this. This has to be my focus and my goal. And like, I've got to put this much time into creating my new mental blueprint, because honestly, that just makes somebody want to eat chips and watch Netflix. Because nobody's got time for that. And it actually doesn't work anyway, because then it just creates pressure on having to be different in order to be happy. And that's not really how it works, because whenever we think that we have to change to be better, we're robbing ourselves of like everything that we have within us right now. So, this is just an example of how I get into things deeper. I don't have that much time to fully go into some of that deeper philosophy, but I definitely will in the training. But just remember, just as a tip, as a little gift, to everybody watching, that all you have to do is just keep making one right choice. Like even right now, just choose to think something positive. Or right now, just choose to take a deep breath. And already you are creating a new mental blueprint. You can't breathe and think at the same time. So, as the thought are going in this unsuccessful blueprint, you go, and you're creating the new blueprint. The happiness blueprint that creates new chemical messaging. The new chemical messaging creates new imprints. The new imprints are the programs for happiness. So, last piece here is, could I transition from my job or career into hypnotherapy? Now, I say absolutely, because I've seen it done and I did it myself. I learned hypnotherapy in 2011. I took my first training in Calgary, and then I went on to take more advanced training in the States. Excuse me, and then my teacher training and everything like that. But the training that I took in Calgary is similar to the training that I offer, except mine gets a lot more into a lot more, and also being able to really leave having the knowledge and the confidence to practice, and then having the practicum hours also. Um, and so basically, yeah, I started in 2011. I was in the restaurant and service and bar industry for many years. I learned a lot about, customer service in that time, and also, having conversations with people and really realizing that people needed help with things. And so I kept seeing clients while I was at the time managing a cafe bar, and having a very young child. But I just felt so passionate about it that I just kept doing it. I kept doing sessions when I could. And then 2 years after that, I just jumped in full time. I was like, I wasn't really getting fulfilled in my job. And I had so many people like wanting sessions that I just decided it's time. I jumped in and never looked back, really, because I've had a full time practice since then. And it's a full time practice where, like, if I don't manage how many days I work, I could be working every day, all day. And so that's also just really great to remember, because it's something that builds with word of mouth, because people always get results from it. Even if they don't get everything they want, or they still have some anxiety attacks, or some anxiety, but their panic attacks went away, or they quit smoking and they quit smoking, or they didn't quit smoking but they realized that what they had to do in order to quit smoking when they're ready. It doesn't really matter. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing that the power of hypnosis makes people talk about the changes that they've experienced in hypnosis with you that will continue to build your practice. And we get into that in the class too, how to build your practice. And then just the details, guys. So this is 8 days. Right now, there is a class starting April 6th. So if this is for you, the time to get in on this class is now. There is also going to be a class in the future. I don't quite have the date set for that. So make sure that if you signed up for this webinar, you'll get information about that class. So it's 8 days in total. And they're split up. So it's like a Saturday till Tuesday. So it's the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th of April. And then it's a Saturday till Tuesday, the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. I'll send out more information about that too later tonight. So it's with the certification is with the National Guild of Hypnotists in the States. So it's actually the world's largest hypnosis organization. It's in so many countries, and it's got that's the basis that we're doing, you were getting what is hypnosis, how to know when someone's hypnotized, how to know how deep they are, what kind of things to say, the language, how the mind works, all of that's with the NGH. And then there's like the certificate that you get from me, Hypno Heather, plus the Institute of Hypnotherapy Saskatchewan. And that one is really about a certificate of not just knowledge, but of practice. Because then you're not just saying, I learned this thing and now I get to start doing it. You're saying, I learned this thing and I have the practical knowledge to practice, because you're not only going to practice in class, but you're going to do 20 hours of practicum after the class to get that certification, because it's very important for my school, my reputation, the reputation that I've built with the quality of service that I offer, that you get that, right? Because this isn't like you just took an online class and you're like a master hypnotist. This is like you did a training where you learned how to heal people and you practiced it, so you get a certificate of knowledge and practice. Um, I'm going to have it at Emerald Park, which is just outside of Regina, about 15 minutes, at the Wellness Blueprint Center. Classes are from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Again, this is also all on my website. And the certification from the NGH is Certified Consulting Hypnotist. And then for me, it's certified in hypnotherapy and hypnotism, and something else too, like again, the practical. Um, and so basically, I extended the early bird until today. So basically, tonight until midnight, I have the early bird open until tonight. So basically, that is 3595, so 3595 plus GST until tonight. And then after that, it just goes back to its regular price, 37.95. I just plus GST. I just wanted to reward everyone that came out, if this was for you, to just get that bit of a deal off of it, to make it a little bit easier on the pocket. And this is a type of training that pays for itself over and over and over, that I'm sure all of my students would agree. Because even say if you left and you were charging $100 per session, which is like our minimum, you would be, right? How many sessions would you need? 35 sessions to pay back your thing. Never mind like the how many sessions you're able to do after that. Even just think of one person, most people will do 3 sessions. That would be, you only even need, you don't even need that many people to make that back. In terms of finances, we could get into, all of the value that this training gives you, which we won't even, we could spend all day, because it's like, what's the price of changing your life? What's the price of being able to help other people around you? Like, in that sense, it should probably be like $10,000. Because when we're looking at value, it's something that you can't know until you do it. It's just like people don't know the value of doing coaching with me until they do it and they see all of the changes that happen in their lives in such a short amount of time. So it's something that to me is more of a gut feeling, and then the mind starts to bring up fear and worry and puts blocks all in its way to stop it from maybe happening. So I would encourage you to really, feel that out, because then this training isn't for everyone, and it isn't for everyone right now. And the way that I work is that if you're interested, you can send me an e-transfer to heather@hypnoheather.com. Um, and that early bird price with GST would be 37.74.75. So 37.74.75, but I'll send that in an email after with the recording too. And then just knowing that you can always shoot me an email too, and just let's talk and see if you're a good candidate for this. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stop the recording, and then I'll get into answering some questions. Or actually, if anyone has any questions, just type them into the box there in the chat. Or there is a part that you can raise your hand too. I believe, let's see, maybe not. So feel free to find the chat box and ask any questions. I'll kind of take a minute. And again, just talking about the mind and all of the ways that we can learn to not only train the mind but heal the mind. there's just always stuff from the past that can come up and bother us. And so I'm gonna just stop the video here and then I'll come back on. So thank you everybody for joining and for taking the time to listen to some information about hypnotherapy and about hypnotherapy training with me, Heather Rodriguez.